The sound that follows isn't a sound at all. It's a vacuum. A perfect, swallowing silence, so complete it has its own weight, its own pressure, its own taste of dust and dead air. It's the sound of 23 people simultaneously forgetting how to breathe. The clatter of a silver serving fork against my grandmother's good china platter seems to ring out like a gunshot in the aftermath. My fork. The one I just used to scoop a second helping of garlic mashed potatoes onto my plate. My hand is still suspended in the air, a perfect statue of shame. The creamy white peak of potatoes now feels less like food and more like evidence. Evidence of my gluttony. Evidence of my need. Evidence that I am exactly what he just called me. A leech. The word hangs in the fragrant, steam-filled air above the Thanksgiving table, a grotesque, venomous piñata. I can see it, a pulsing, black-clouded thing, and I wait for someone to swing at it, to smash it apart with a shout of denial, a word of defense. But no one moves. The guests are frozen, as the text said. My Aunt Carol has her wine glass halfway to her parted lips. My cousin's new boyfriend looks like he's calculating the exact trajectory needed to escape out the patio door. My mother's eyes are wide, glistening with a panic so acute it's painful to witness. She's staring at my father, but he isn't looking at her.
He's looking at me.
His finger is still pointed. It's a familiar finger. I've seen it point at faulty wiring, at bad stock market charts on TV, at drivers who cut him off. Now it is aimed directly at my heart. His face is a mask of cold, righteous certainty. There is no anger there, not even heat. That's what makes it so much worse. This isn't a flash of temper, a drunken outburst. This is a verdict, delivered calmly and with precision over the ruins of a turkey carcass and the congealing gravy. And after November, he says, the words clean and sharp as a surgeon's scalpel. You're on your own. The air he steals from the room rushes back in, but it's toxic now. I feel it burn my lungs. I feel every single set of eyes on my skin, hot and prickling like a rash. I want to disappear. I want to melt into a puddle of goo right between the green bean casserole and the sweet potato souffle. I want to scream. I want to throw my plate, my full, greedy, gluttonous plate, right at his head. But I don't do any of those things. I do what I have been trained to do since childhood. I retreat. I surrender.
Ida escalata.
I hold the tears back. They are a hot, saline flood behind my eyes, pressurizing my skull, threatening to breach the dam of my composure. If I cry, I lose. If I cry, I'm the hysterical one, the dramatic one, the sensitive one. If I cry, it proves I can't handle his hard truths. So I lock every muscle in my face. I lower the fork, setting it down with a quiet, deliberate click that seems absurdly loud. I place my hands in my lap under the table, and I curl them into fists so tight my nails carve crescent moons into my palms. The physical pain is a welcome anchor. I force my head to move a single, stiff, jerky nod. It's not a nod of agreement. It's a nod of receipt. Message received, sir. The spell breaks. Mumbled conversations sputter back to life. Someone, God bless them, asks for more rolls. The spotlight swings away, but the damage is done. The radiation has been released. I am contaminated. I am the leech at the table. I don't eat another bite. The food on my plate mocks me. I spend the next 47 minutes. I count every single one, staring at a single cranberry that has escaped the Jell-O mold and is smeared on the white tablecloth like a bloodstain. I listen to the forced chatter, the clinking of cutlery that doesn't fool anyone. I feel my mother's anxious glances like little moths fluttering against my cheek. I don't look back. When my uncle makes the first move to leave, the exodus begins. It's a stampede of politeness. Coats are retrieved, leftovers are hastily declined. Oh no, we've got so much already, really. And goodbyes are muttered with averted eyes. No one looks at me. It's as if I've become invisible, or worse, contagious. Finally, the last car pulls out of the driveway. The door closes. The house is silent, save for the hum of the refrigerator and the frantic beating of my own heart. My mother immediately turns to my father, her voice a hushed, furious whisper. David, my God, what is wrong with you? How could you say that to her? In front of everyone. He doesn't even look up from where he's wrapping the turkey in foil. Someone had to say it, Linda. She's 26 years old. It's time she heard it. Coddling her hasn't helped. Coddling. I say the word before I can stop myself. It comes out flat, dead. He turns then, his eyes meeting mine. They are the same steely gray they've always been. Yes, coddling. You live under our roof, you eat our food, you use our electricity. You contribute nothing. You float. You're stuck, Chloe. And you're comfortable being stuck. Sometimes you need to poke a leech with a sharp stick to make it let go. There it is again.
Leech.
Each time he says it, it feels less like a word and more like a brand. Without another word, I turn and walk out of the kitchen. I walk past the dining room table, a war zone of dirty dishes and humiliation. I climb the stairs to my childhood bedroom. I close the door, and I finally let the tears come. They are silent, heaving sobs that feel like they're tearing my soul in two. But an hour later, the tears are gone. In their place is a cold, hard, crystalline clarity. He's right. I am stuck. The story doesn't start with a pointed finger. It starts 3 years earlier, when my carefully constructed life fell apart. I was 23, living in a city 2 hours away, sharing an apartment with my best friend, and working a job I loved as a junior graphic designer for a small, hip firm. I was in love with a man named Ben, who played in a band and made me laugh until my stomach hurt. I had a future. It was bright, and it was mine. Then Mom called. Dad was in the hospital. A minor heart attack, she called it, as if any attack on one's heart could be minor. I drove home that night, my hands shaking on the wheel. The man in the hospital bed was not my father. My father was a bull of a man, a former Marine who built a successful contracting business from the ground up. He was loud, stubborn, and perpetually in motion. This man was pale, shrunken, tethered to beeping machines. I saw the fear in his eyes for just a fraction of a second before the familiar sternness slammed back down. "What are you doing here?" he'd grumbled. "They're making a fuss over nothing." But it wasn't nothing. The doctor was clear. Stress was the primary culprit. The business, the pressure, the constant go, go, go. He had to change. He had to slow down. He had to retire. My mother, a gentle woman who had spent her life organizing charity luncheons and perfecting her rose garden, was terrified. The business was their lifeblood. Without my father at the helm, it would crumble. Their savings would be eaten alive by medical bills. The fear in our house was a thick, suffocating fog. And I, the only child, the creative, one who had chosen a path of art over practicality, saw a way to help. A way to be the good daughter. "I'll come home," I said one night, sitting at their kitchen table. "Just for a little while. I can help manage the business paperwork, answer phones, keep things running while Dad recovers. I can help you, Mom." It was supposed to be temporary. 3 months, maybe 6. Just until Dad was back on his feet and they could figure out a long-term plan. Ben was hesitant. "Chloe, that's a black hole. You'll get sucked in. You just got that promotion." "It's my family," I said, with the righteous certainty of someone who has never truly made a sacrifice. "They need me." My boss was more understanding, offering me a leave of absence. I packed a few boxes, kissed Ben goodbye, and drove back to my hometown, a hero in my own mind. The first few months were fine, even rewarding. I streamlined my father's chaotic filing system. I handled invoicing and scheduling. I was good at it. My father, weak and frustrated, was initially grateful. He'd pat my hand and call me his little savior. I basked in it. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was meeting his impossible standard of usefulness. But as his strength returned, his gratitude faded. The little savior became the office girl. My suggestions were dismissed. My presence was tolerated, not welcomed. He was back in charge, and my role became smaller and smaller until I was just answering phones and fetching his coffee. Meanwhile, my life in the city was fading. My leave of absence ended. I couldn't go back. My boss wished me well. My roommate found someone else. Ben called less and less. When are you coming back, Chloe? Became, are you coming back, Chloe? Until one day, the calls stopped altogether. The breakup was a quiet, distant thing. A phone call filled with long silences. My old life had expired without me. I was stuck. I had no job to return to, no apartment, no boyfriend. The temporary solution had become a permanent residence. I paid a small rent, I helped with chores, but I was adrift. I applied for jobs locally, but my degree and experience were overqualified for the small-town opportunities. I was trapped in a purgatory of my own making. And my father's attitude hardened. His near-death experience hadn't softened him, it had embittered him. He saw my presence not as a continued help, but as a reminder of his own fragility. I was a symbol of the time he was weak, the time he needed saving. And my father hated needing anything from anyone. His comments started small, little digs disguised as jokes. Still mooching off the old folks, eh? That art degree really paying for itself, I see. Must be nice to have no responsibilities. I would laugh it off, a tight, painful sound. My mother would chide him gently. David, don't be rude. But the seeds were planted. The narrative was written. I was a burden. A leech. And on Thanksgiving, he decided to publish it for the whole family to read. Sitting on my bed, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars still stuck to my ceiling from when I was 10, I finally see it. I see the entire, pathetic arc of my life for the past 3 years. I didn't just get stuck. I allowed myself to be stuck. I made my world small enough to fit within these 4 walls because it was safe. Because it was familiar. Because out there was the terrifying wreckage of the life I'd failed to build. My father's words were cruel, but they weren't untrue. I had leached onto their lives, onto their routine, onto their stability, because I was too afraid to generate my own. I had traded my future for the illusion of safety. The self-pity evaporates, burned away by a sudden, fierce rage. It's not directed at him, not entirely. It's directed at myself.
For being so weak.
For being so blind. I get up. I walk to my closet, and I pull out a suitcase. I don't carefully fold my clothes. I yank them from hangers and stuff them into the bag. Jeans, sweaters, socks. I empty my drawers. I am a whirlwind of purpose. My mother appears in the doorway, her face etched with worry. Honey, what are you doing? I'm letting go, I say, my voice surprisingly steady. I don't look at her. Oh, sweetheart, don't listen to him. He's a miserable old man who had a scare. He doesn't mean it. But he does, Mom, I say, finally stopping to look at her. And he's right. I've been here too long. It's time for me to be on my own. Tears well in her eyes. But where will you go? I don't know, I admit. And for a moment, the terror is back, icy and paralyzing. I don't know. I have no plan. No money saved. Nowhere to go. But then I remember the pointed finger. The word. The frozen guests. The cranberry stain on the tablecloth. The fear is drowned out by a louder, more powerful emotion. Pride. A desperate, furious pride. I'll figure it out, I say, and I mean it. I call the only person I can think of. Sarah, my old college roommate. She's in Chicago now. The phone rings 4 times. I'm about to hang up, the humiliation fresh again. Of course she's busy. Of course, she has a life. Chloe, her voice is warm, surprised. Oh my God, hi. Happy Thanksgiving. Hey, Sarah. I say, my voice cracking. I squeeze my eyes shut. Listen, I know this is insane and last minute, but is your couch available? There's a pause. A beat of judgment, I'm sure of it. But then she says, for you? Always. What's going on? And I tell her. I tell her about the pointed finger, the word, the 3 years of slow erosion. I cry again, but this time it's different. It's not tears of shame, it's tears of release. Get your ass to Chicago, she says, her voice firm. Tomorrow. I'll text you the address. I book a one-way bus ticket leaving at 6 a.m. It costs nearly the last of my savings. I don't care. I finish packing. The suitcase is zipped. I look around my room at the girl who lived here. The good daughter. The people pleaser. The leech. I say goodbye to her. The next morning, I'm up before the sun. I drag my suitcase down the stairs. The house is silent. I don't write a note. I don't say goodbye. I just leave. The bus ride is 8 hours of grim determination. I stare out the window at the gray November landscape, my mind racing.
I have no job.
Almost no money. Just a friend's couch and a searing memory. Chicago is a shock of noise and wind and concrete. Sarah meets me at the bus station, hugs me tight, and doesn't ask any questions. Her apartment is small, warm, and smells like coffee and lavender. I collapse on her couch and sleep for 12 hours. The next week is a blur of terrifying firsts. I get a cheap pay-as-you-go phone. I spend my days in libraries and coffee shops, using their free Wi-Fi to apply for every graphic design job, every admin job, every waitressing job I can find. I face rejection after rejection. Overqualified. Not enough recent experience. We've gone with another candidate. The fear is a constant companion. It whispers to me at night on Sarah's couch. You can't do this. Go home. Apologize. It was warm there. You were fed. The image of my father's face, cold and certain, is the only thing that keeps me from calling him. After 2 weeks, I get a break. A small, struggling indie publisher needs someone to design book covers. The pay is a pittance, the work is inconsistent, but it's something. It's a start. I take it. I pour every ounce of my skill and my rage into those covers. They are dark, beautiful, and powerful. The publisher is thrilled. I get a second job waiting tables at a loud, chaotic brewpub. My feet ache. I come home smelling of grease and beer, and I'm terrible at it at first. I spill drinks, I mix up orders. But I learn. I get better. I save every tip in a shoebox under Sarah's couch. December is a cold, brutal month.
I'm lonely. I'm exhausted. I'm scared.
Christmas comes and goes. I video call my mom.
She cries.
I can see my father moving in the background, never coming into the frame.
I don't ask about him.
She doesn't offer. One night in late January, I'm so tired I can't sleep. I open my laptop and I start to design. Not for the publisher. For me. I create a personal logo. Chloe redesign. I build a simple website. I create a portfolio, not just with my old work, but with the book covers and new, speculative pieces, rebrands for companies I admire, app interfaces, anything that sparks my creativity. The work is good. It's better than good. It's fueled by 3 years of pent-up talent and something new, a voice. A voice that is entirely my own. I send the link to the portfolio to every creative director at every agency in the city I can find an email for. It's a shot in the dark. A week later, I get a response. It's from a woman named Evelyn Shaw, the head of a mid-sized, respected design firm. She wants to meet. The interview is the most terrifying hour of my life. I wear my one good outfit. My hands are shaking. But when she asks me about my work, about the themes in my recent pieces, I forget to be nervous. I talk about contrast, about hard edges and soft light, about the silence that follows a seismic shift. I talk about rebuilding. I don't mention my father. I don't mention Thanksgiving. But I know she hears it in my work. She sees it. She offers me the job on the spot. The salary is more than I've ever made. It's a real adult salary, with benefits. I call my mother first. She screams with joy, then cries. I can hear her calling to my father in the background. David. David, she got a job. A wonderful job. I don't hear his response. A month later, I have enough saved for a security deposit on a microscopic studio apartment. It has a window that looks out onto a brick wall, and I love it more than any place I've ever lived. It's mine. I build a life. A real one. I make friends at work. I date a nice, funny software engineer who doesn't play in a band but makes me laugh in a quieter, steadier way. The ghost of Thanksgiving dinner begins to fade. The word leech loses its power. It becomes a story I sometimes tell, a dark joke about my rock bottom. My origin story, I call it. A year passes. Then another. I'm promoted to senior designer. I'm happy. Truly, genuinely happy. And yet, there's an unfinished piece of business. A splinter in my heart that never quite worked its way out. I decide to go home for Thanksgiving. The decision is mine. My mother, over our weekly calls, had long stopped asking if I was coming. She'd accepted that my holidays were now spent with friends in Chicago. But this year, I tell her I'm coming. There's a silence on the other end of the phone. "Are you sure, honey?" she asks, her voice careful. "I'm sure," I say. The drive back is strange. The familiar roads feel both the same and entirely different. I'm different. I pull into the driveway. The house looks smaller. My mother runs out to meet me, hugging me fiercely. She looks older. We go inside. The house smells the same, like lemon polish and roasting turkey. And there, sitting in his armchair, pretending to read the paper, is my father. He looks up. He looks older, too. Smaller. The bull has been diminished by time. He gives me a stiff nod. "Chloe." "Dad." It's the first word we've spoken to each other in over 2 years. The dinner is quiet, just the three of us. The ghost of that other Thanksgiving is the uninvited fourth guest at the table. We make stilted conversation. I talk about my work, my apartment, my life. He listens, saying little. My mother fills the silences with a nervous chatter. After pie, my mother goes to the kitchen to make coffee. My father and I are left at the table. The silence stretches, taut and uncomfortable. He clears his throat.
"So,
"You're doing well for yourself." "I am," I say. He nods, looking down at his hands. They are gnarled, the hands of a builder. They are resting on the table, and I notice a slight tremor in the right one. He sees me looking and stills it. Another long silence. Then he speaks, his voice low and gravelly, not with anger, but with something else. Something like shame. "That thing I said," he begins, then stops. He can't even say the word. "That Thanksgiving? It was a shitty thing to say." I don't respond. I just wait. He needs to say this. I need to hear it. "I was angry," he continues, still not looking at me. "Not at you." "Well, but I was angry at me. At this." He gestures to his own chest. "At being weak. At being scared. I saw you, stuck there because of my weakness, and it made me hate myself. So, I took it out on you. It was cruel. And it was wrong." He finally looks up at me, and for the first time in my life, I see true, unguarded vulnerability in my father's eyes. There are tears there. "You're not a leech, Chloe. You never were. You were a daughter, helping her family. And I was a fool. The apology I've been waiting my whole life for. It's here. It's real. And it doesn't feel like a victory. It just feels sad." "I know, Dad," I say softly. "I know you were angry. And you were scared. But so was I." He nods, wiping roughly at his eyes. "You proved me wrong. You did it. You got out. You're on your own." He says the phrase again, but this time it doesn't sound like a threat. It sounds like a statement of fact. It sounds almost like pride. "I had to," I say. And then I add the truth I've only recently come to understand. "But I didn't just do it to prove you wrong. I did it because you were right. I was stuck. I was comfortable. I needed to be poked. I needed that sharp stick." A strange, sad smile touches his lips. "I wish it hadn't been so sharp." "Me too," I say. But it was. And it worked. My mother comes back in with the coffee, her eyes darting between us, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. We drink our coffee. We talk about lighter things. The tension is gone. I stay for 2 days. Before I leave, my father pulls me aside. He hands me a small, worn notebook. It's his old business ledger from the first year he started his company. "I was stuck once too," he says. "Working for a man I hated. I was scared to leave. Your grandfather gave me this notebook and told me to stop complaining and start counting my own blessings, my own profits. It was his sharp stick. I take the notebook. It's a peace offering. An understanding. I drive back to Chicago, to my life, to my apartment with the view of the brick wall. I am not the same woman who left in a fury 2 years ago. I am healed. But I know the scar will always be there, a faint, white line across my heart. It's my reminder. A reminder that sometimes the most painful wounds are inflicted by the people who are supposed to protect you from pain. And sometimes the words meant to break you are the very ones that piece you back together, stronger than before. He called me a leech to make me let go. And I did. I finally let go of him, of his approval, of the need to be the good daughter. I let go of the girl I was, and I found the woman I am. And for that, as strange and painful as it is to admit, I am, in my own way, thankful.